it's all about the strategy.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of, let me put it on a global perspective.
Yeah.
As an investor, it doesn't matter where the property comes from. I mean, you can get a property from a divorce file. You can get a property from probate, from short sales, foreclosures.
Yeah.
It's the strategy that makes you the money. That's the key. And I teach everyone.
Yeah.
When you buying the property, that's when you're making money.
Yeah.
You have to have a good negotiated value that it makes sense for you and it makes sense for the seller. So in probate, you can apply all the strategies that you probably know, from assigning contracts to wholesaling paper. And there's so many things you can do with it. You can buy and hold. You can put it back as a rehab, flip the property. So probate gives you those opportunities. Like I was mentioning, I'll make you an example. This is from the Rosalie Schaefer estate. John Walker, I still remember his name. This is years back.
Yeah.
John Walker was the executor. I approached him because he had a property in Vegas. By the way, it's not uncommon to find states where the property is out of state.
Okay.
So you might be looking at California file, but they happen to have a vacation home in Arizona.
Yeah.
And that happens more than we actually think. So I approached him from the Vegas property, and he said, actually, the house is gone, but did you buy land? And I said, I buy anything that makes sense for you, and it makes sense for me. He says, well, I have some land in Yucca Valley, California. I didn't know what Yucca Valley was. I found out it was next to Palm Springs. So I said, sure, let's just get together and let's take a look at this opportunity. I drove down to Yucca Valley, went and looked at the land where it was. It had a telephone pole, it had water, it had a brand new road. And when you're looking at land, you want to have those things.
Yeah.
And if you have that, then you have a valuable piece of land. Came back, sat with him. We met at the church, and he literally says, this is the last thing I have to do to finish this. It has been a nightmare. And I said, okay, John, what do you want for these lots? He said, well, I figure each acre was worth about $15,000. So I was looking at 5 acres. And he says, well, I'm not sure. And I said, have you got any offers? He said, yes, I got an offer for $6,000. I'm thinking $6,000 per acre. And I said, okay, well, let's start right there. Why don't I give you $6,000? You want to move on? Let's start at $6,000 because it's too low. And I said, okay, what are you thinking? He said, well, how about 8? And I was like, in my head, I was like, I can't believe this. Are you serious? You're going to sell me these lots for $8,000 a piece? He says, but then as a negotiator, you have to go one more round just for fun. And I said, why don't we do this? Why don't we meet halfway? Let's do 7. He said, okay, $7,000 for everything. My mouth just dropped. I remember taking the contract out of my bag and I was shaking. I'm like, okay. He signed the paper. So I bought 5 acres of land in Yucca Valley for $7,000. He had full authority, no bond. So that means he has independent administration. He wanted to do whatever he wanted to do. He had the freedom to do that. Yeah. So I walk out with this contract in my hand, and I could not believe the opportunity I got. And that was not the one. I also picked up some lots up in California City next to by Bakersfield.
Sure.
I picked up a piece of land for $14,000, turned around and sold it for $30,000. I sold that one.
Wow.
This one in Yucca Valley, I bought it for $7,000, sold it for $25,000. So, and I know there's a student of mine, Terrell.
Yeah.
He got that was when he told me the story. I was like, "You're kidding me? You're playing in my own sandbox. I'm in Long Beach." He says, "Well, Mike, I just bought a piece of property in Long Beach." I said, "How much you pay for it?" So there's a loan for $30,000, and the executive just wanted $5,000. And I'm thinking, there is not a property in Long Beach worth $35,000. The sidewalk maybe is worth $35,000.
Right.
So what happened? The story behind: he was an only child. He has some issues, some just personal issues. Yeah. The house was condemned. So he was buying literally just the lot. And he accepted $5,000 plus the $30,000 on the loan. So he got a property for $35,000, turned around and wholesaled the paper. So he turned around and sold it to an investor and made $100,000 in the process.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And there's lots of opportunities, because when we're talking about probate, we're talking about people who just inherit some money.
Yep.
And the truth of the matter is, Carla, you can back this up.
I know.
They don't care. They just want the cash now. Cash me out.
Yeah, cash me out.
And that's where the opportunity comes from.
Yeah, they're typically emotional. They don't understand what's going on, and they just don't really know the value of what they have, and they just want to be done with that process.
Exactly. They just want to move on. And that's what we see here.